Hello and welcome back to the Eurovoxx Podcast, the place where we will be discussing all things Eurovision. Coming up today, after we looked at Sweden's history in Eurovision over the last 20 years, we're going to do that with another country with Eurovox's ranking of Ukraine. But first, let's introduce our guest for this episode. She is a long-standing Spanish Eurovoxx member. She currently lives in Latvia and is also, in her spare time, spare time. I believe this is her job actually. A very talented artist. There is only one way I think we can properly introduce this person and say hello to them, and it is with this.
Hola, mi bebé.
Oh yes!
Hola, mi bebé.
I love this.
Hello to Clara. How are you?
Hi, what a wonderful introduction. I wasn't expecting hola mi bebé, but everyone that knows me know that's my correct greeting.
Well, you say that. I remember I messaged Andy, as I always do, explaining when I'm going to record and who the guest is going to be. I thought I'll give him a little hint, so I put an Urs emoji or like a meme into the chat, and I said, "Any guesses on who the guest is?" Put that in, and he went, "No idea who it is." I was like, "Clara! Who else is it going to be with that?"
Yes.
I'm not doing that with Stuart or someone, am I? No, it's Clara. So not everyone clearly knows that, but at least the vast majority of people. How are you today, Clara?
I'm good. I've had a long day, so now I'm super excited to switch off from my regular day and talk about Eurovision with you.
Yes, of course. I'm expecting this to be a fun one. You've actually been on the show before, Clara. You were the guest for the International Women's Day special.
Yes.
So that was a long time ago. So first repeat guest, technically. I guess we had Yana on twice, but she was the host, now the guest. But so now the second time with Clara, you're going to have a completely different host. I'm sure I'll be much better and more fun than Yana. No, I'm kidding. Yana did a great job.
Don't put me on the spot like that, making me choose.
I'm not making you choose. How dare I? I'll make you do much worse as the show goes on.
Oh.
But first of all, we'll come to our 3 questions. We always start with 3 questions. Now, because Clara's been on the show before and Yana asked the typical questions we had, I thought I'll tweak them slightly for Clara just to give some other answers and to make sure that people do listen to that episode from International Women's Day. It was a great episode, covered a few of the songs from 2023. There was a bit too much positivity about Ukraine and Croatia in that episode, but we let that slide. We let the positivity about Croatia slide. Tried to cut it out, but it just didn't work. So the first question, Clara, what was your first Eurovision in person like?
The first Eurovision in person was, I attended as the audience for the first time, and it was in 2014 in Copenhagen. And to be fair, it was a little bit of a letdown because I realized that what I really liked about Eurovision is like the production aspect of it, like knowing like the camera changes and seeing it from different angles. Because when I saw it, and I was right by the stage. In 2014, it was like this triangular stage. I was right on the first row at the point of at the angle.
Yeah.
And it was really awesome to see the artist so close, but there was something missing, and it was the dynamism that the camera angles gave it.
Yeah. What show did you get tickets for then? The final?
The final.
Final. God,
yes.
You got lucky. God, were tickets easy to get back then?
Actually, I was incredibly lucky because my friend, I was on Erasmus in Estonia, and I met this other girl, Audrey, and we have the same birthdays, and she loved Eurovision so much, and she wanted to get tickets, so it was her idea, and she managed to get 2. Like, she was on the queue on the day the tickets went out, and she managed to get 2 for 250 euros each, which back then it was a lot, but I spent all of my Christmas money that I had been saving for something special, and that seemed pretty special for me. So, yeah there we went to Copenhagen.
Fair play. I mean, weirdly, my first Eurovision in person was also getting tickets for the like grand final live. It must be a sign of
Yes.
the both incredibly lucky people in our first time. Not
Mhm.
lucky any other time, but lucky the first time.
Yes.
Absolutely. I do see what you mean with like the camera angles and the TV. I think if you are going to Eurovision, it's best to do like one of each. Like do like a jury or a family show in the
Hmm.
studio, and then see the actual live show in like the village or where,
Hmm.
where you usually are the press center
Yeah.
nowadays. Um, Although I must say, it must have been great too. Like Copenhagen 2014's got my favorite staging in recent memory. It must have been great seeing like just how big like the whole thing looked.
That the other thing is was that I don't know why I expected it to be bigger and brighter and more monumental, and actually it was small. Like when I saw it the week after on TV, I thought like, wow, it looks it looks bigger on screen, and it looks more like atmospheric than what it
Ah,
actually
okay.
was. But that's why I love watching now Eurovision from like the press center. I don't necessarily like, or it's not so important for me to get tickets to the show.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I guess the camera angles did a lot for that stage if it looked a bit smaller in there. The second question. So usually this is a favorite Eurovision entry of all time. We tweaked it slightly because two reasons. One, you've answered that, and knowing your answer, I think we might come on to that later on in the show.
Yes, yes.
But what was your favorite Eurovision entry just from this year, from 2023?
Cha cha cha, Karia.
Fantastic answer.
Yes,
We were in sync. I remember we did the live for that, and
yeah, we
we were
were.
both
Yes.
we were both thrilled of the result. I think my voice broke in celebration at the start of the show. What was funny about that weekend is I remember it was me, you, and Yana did two lives that weekend.
Yes,
The first one we did was Finland, joyous, happy, positive. The second one was Poland.
I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about that because I remember. Yeah, it's exactly what you just said. We were super happy, and then I remember the next day we were like, "What did just happen?" Like,
I remember thinking. Now, look, I wanted either like Jan or what was his name? The guy that sang "Be Good," Dominic, I believe his name
yeah, yeah,
was.
yes, that one.
I wanted either of those to win, but I was like, you and Yana were like massive, like Jan needs to win. So I
Yes.
remember when the results happened, and also knowing just how Polish fans can be. Even before we started the live, I went to both of you. Oh no, 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 no,
Oh,
oh
no,
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 no.
no.
Oh, this could be bad. This is real bad. This is the comments. Oh, the comments. Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun. And it was as expected. Um, Typical Poland. I mean, they did qualify in the end. But yeah, I agree. Cha 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 was my winner as well.
Mhm.
And then the final question, the guest question. Now, this obviously is tradition from usual. We ask our previous guests a question to send into the episode. This one has been sent in by Dylan, our previous guest. So, Clara, Dylan wants to know which Eurovision edition in recent years has had the least well organized or successful like planning or week, and to you, and why is that?
That's such a tough question. Like, you mean as that I attended as press, or
It could be either. I'd say within like the last 10 years, so which I'd probably for you is all Eurovisions you attended, or most of them anyway.
that's interesting.
It can be from like a production standpoint as well, the staging, not necessarily from a press aspect, if
I'm
that's
gonna
easier.
say Italy
I knew you were going to say it. It's the common answer.
because of the whole Sun fiasco, and because I remember the artist saying that there were some trouble with their in-ears.
Oh God, okay.
And then I also remember the Italians telling me, in Italy, uh, we're really good at solving emergencies. So there was like this fun joke in the press center saying Italy left it all till the very end until it became an emergency, and then it was fixed. That is one.
uh,
But I also remember Rotterdam had a lot of also problems with the in-ears, and there were many artists that had to repeat their performance.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Because I was in Italy as well, and bless Samuele, but obviously being the true Italian he is, he did keep going on. No, no, no. This is a well organized. We're doing a good job here. Italy is doing well.
Mhm.
Bless him. To be fair, one memory I have of Italy as well is you complained about the Wi-Fi in the press
Oh
room.
yes, shitty Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
shitty Wi-Fi,
And that was what I was
shitty
coming on to.
Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
shitty Wi-Fi. Yeah, that was the Eurovoxx
the chant. Yeah.
brand. Yeah.
To be fair, I also remember because obviously Stuart, member of Vox Squad, massive fan of Serbia that year. I think
Mm.
most of his dialogue when he was in Turin was just chanting like 3-syllable things, or
Mhm.
no, 4-syllable things to the tune of Serbia of that. And you even did my name at one point. I remember in a live
Mhm.
stream, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So now we come on to the main portion of the show. Now, last episode we looked at to open up the Eurovision 2024 season, being September, Eurovision officially kicking off for many fans. We looked at the last 20 years of Swedish entries and we ranked them as the Eurovox squad. I thought let's continue that a little bit before we get some proper news again. And let's go on to another very successful Eurovision country in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine is a fascinating one. They're the only one that have never failed to qualify for the final when they have taken part. And we had 21 people in the end vote in this. We had 18 members of Eurovox. And I thought for this one, let's invite some friends of the podcast, some Eurovox members. So also involved in this were Connor and Louise from Eurovision and Roy from Roy PM and ESC United, all people that have previously been on the podcast. I thought, let's send in their votes as well. So, Clara, Ukraine, very successful country. Was this a hard vote to narrow down to top 5 as you needed to do, Clara?
Actually, no, because for me, there are ones that I really love and ones that were more like on the meh side of things.
Okay.
But that was for me for my personal taste, because I've always had really good buzz around every song Ukraine always brings, except maybe one or two. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I had a lot more. Thankfully, with all these rankings, I have like various spreadsheets and stuff which tell me my top 5. So it wasn't hard from that sense. But like looking at these songs, it's a very strong lineup overall. And what's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating is two things about this ranking. Unlike the Swedish one, where we had 4 entries that had got 0 points, none of these are completely blanked. They all got some
Ooh.
points from someone. And also, what's fascinating here is Dylan and I had a bit of an overlap with Sweden. I can tell you now, we'll get into our votes as the show goes on. Me and you, Clara, didn't agree on any of the top 5.
Oh,
Like
this
we've
is
got
fascinating.
five different songs in our top 5. So it'll be interesting to see how they line up. Like last episode, we are not going to cover all of these and speak in great length about them. So what we're going to do is we are now going to play a montage of songs 18 through 11. There's a couple of ties which are ruled through tiebreaker. I will say now, songs 15 and 16 in this ranking, because the numbers say they are tied on 4 points each. That is an official tie. The rest, there are some means to reason why they're not tied. But here, without further ado, his songs 18 through 11. 18.
Razom nas bahato, nas podolamy. Razom nas bahato, nas podolamy.
17.
Don't get how you feel. Get out of my way, yeah. 'Cause I got a heart of steel.
16.
Look into your eyes, time to fight through. Time against the lights. Time.
15.
We are birds that fly so high, we are falling down. When I dream of you, I dream it's something I lost.
14.
Baby, I can save your love. I know as the brightest star. Baby, I can save your love.
13.
Tick-tock, can you hear me go tick-tock? My heart is like the clock, I'm steady like a rock. Don't stop, kiss me till I drop.
12.
Show me your love, show me how much you care. Down to my heart, whisper my name. Show me your love, I need you more than air, and you'll be my part.
11. So they were entries 18 to 11. In 18th place was 2005 Green Jolly with Rasom Nas Bahato. Actually, Clara's 2 points, so off to a great start with her taste, getting 3 points in total. In 17th place, beating that on tiebreaker with 3 points, it was 2023 Torchy Heart of Steel. In joint 15th place, it is 2011 Mika Newton Angel with 4 points, and O Torval from 2017 with Time. In 14th place with 5 points, it is Svetlana Loboda with Be My Valentine Anti-Crisis Girl getting 5 points. In 13th place, we're also getting 5, but beating it on tiebreaker, it is Maria Yaremchuk from 2014 with TikTok. In 12th place, another one of Clara's points. This one was her 5th place. It is 2016 Tina Corral with Show Me Your Love getting 7 points. And in 11th place, just missing out on the top 10 by 2 points actually, it is Go A Solove from 2020. Now, I will say, thankfully for people that voted, unlike last edition where Andy's 5 points sadly did not make the top 10, none of people's favourites have missed out on the top 10. We are talking about everyone's favourites in this section, which at least there's that. Andy, your top 10's in this time. Don't worry. We're not going to skip that one. So obviously, with that being said, Clara, you've got 3 left of your top 5. I've still got all 5 of mine. So naturally, that does mean my taste is better. That does mean that's clearly what that means. Everyone agrees with me. No, I'm kidding. Let's move on.
This is rigged.
This is rigged. Oh, trust me, if I could rig these would not be my results. But in 10th place, we're going to start going on to songs we're going to talk about in a bit more detail. In 10th place, it's a bit of a surprise, actually, if I'm being honest. 10th place for Sweden was a bit of a surprise. I'd argue this is a bit more of a surprise. In 10th place, receiving 12 points, it is 2012 Be My Guest. 10. So that was Gaetana with Be My Guest receiving 12 points. 5 people out of the 21 voted for this, with one top first place coming from Connor from Eurovision. Actually, both members of Eurovision did give this points, so it must be loved in Ireland. That must be how it works. Yeah, despite making our top 10, this only finished in 15th place in Baku back in 2012. So Clara, bit of a surprise this made the top 10, considering it's not really one that's talked about as an all-time classic for Ukraine. Are you more positively surprised or negatively surprised that this has made the top 10?
I'm actually surprised. Negatively, we have to go towards one of the sides of the spectrum. But because for me, I was so used to songs that were very, like, you could feel the Ukrainian flavor. And I just couldn't feel it on this one. Maybe the big trumpet sounds that they have at the beginning.
Now, Clara, as a UK fan, I can assure you, big trumpets do not help a performance. If anything, small trumpets. You need less trumpets as possible.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
It was more like the sounds, the only thing that would make me reminisce of Ukraine or think about this as a Ukrainian performance. It was just very colorful in like a color pattern that was not Ukrainian at all. It could have been any country, and as it was after shown, it was used for the football cup.
Yeah, one of the tournaments. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, as a football fan, that's where I mainly know this song from. It's one of like the few songs where I actually knew it before becoming a Eurovision fan. And when I look back retrospectively, I was like, "Oh, this is from Eurovision." No, I was singing this all the time when I was. How old was I when this came out? 9. I would have been 9 when this came out, or 8, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Clara is loving that fact.
No, I don't mind. I think I was like 11.
11? It was. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
No,
Released.
No,
Well, it was
I
released
wasn't.
11 years ago. So if you
Sorry,
were,
I've miscounted. I was 21. Yes, I was 21.
oh, I thought you were half joking, saying like, oh, I am very young naturally, so it would
No,
have
no, no,
been
no.
in my in my in
Sorry,
my tens or something when this came out.
I was looking at the last digit, and I didn't look at the digit before because normally I'm
Oh, okay.
one like up like less than the actual. My last digit is always one less than the actual year.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But yeah, to be honest, I didn't give this points,
Yeah.
but this isn't my playlist. I do actually really enjoy this, and it is mainly because I'm a football fan. So this is
Mm.
like proper like football anthem. Like it's fun, upbeat. It's one to not take too seriously. It's very not Ukraine. I will say that. I do agree
Mhm.
with you on that front. It's very like this would Ukraine's probably the last country I would think would send this entry.
Mhm.
But you know what? It did very well with the jury, less so with the televote, which is actually a unique situation for Ukraine. It's
Yes.
either the other way around or just televote they do a lot better. But yeah, I think this is a lot of people. Am I right in saying this barely qualified for the final in the end? Did it come like ninth or something, eighth?
Maybe I don't recall it. I don't recall that like
Or
national
maybe
final.
possibly it was maybe it wouldn't have qualified if it was televote only or something like that. It would.
Yes, something like that. I
Yeah,
think.
but yeah, it's one of those which is not. It's again, it's not held up in like high regard in terms of
Mm-mm.
Ukrainian entries. But personally, I'm quite happy this made the top 10. Pleasantly surprised considering some of the entries we've already discussed, like TikTok, Show Me Your Love, Solovey's, like fairly popular entries in terms of
Mhm.
the Ukrainian history. This one made the top 10, and you know what? Fair play.
Mhm.
So now we come on to number 9 in our ranking, and it's another one that didn't necessarily hit the highs of some previous entries in Ukraine, but it is a more recent one and one that has actually got quite a good cult following. So in ninth place with 14 points, it is 2018 Under the Ladder.
No.
So that was Melvin with Under the Ladder, Ukraine's entry in 2018, receiving 14 points. 6 people voted for this one. No top level, no first places, but this does include a second place from me. I gave this 4 points. So pretty much I single-handedly put this in the top 10, apart looking at the points here, actually. But this actually finished in 17th in Eurovision, one of Ukraine's lowest finishes
Mhm.
in the contest, which feels I think it's quite harsh for this entry to be. I mean, UK 17th is like one of our best in like this time frame. So 17th being one of the lowest, it says a lot about Ukraine. So, Clara, this for one has very memorable staging. Were you a fan of the Gothic Vampire entry from 2018?
The thing is, I would have been as a teenager. I would have loved it, but I was 27, and I thought it was very theatrical, too theatrical in a way that I couldn't connect to it anymore. And the guy was too young for me to actually fancy him. So that normally, like, if the that's also an important factor when you like a song in Eurovision.
Of
Like,
course.
can you fantasize with the singer or not?
You would have enjoyed the guest question in the last episode from Shaughnessy.
What did he
People that
ask?
listen, I didn't think I'd have to bring it up again in the second episode, but for another episode. But go. It was Swedish themed because obviously the episode was Sweden. But she asked, and she didn't know Dylan was answering this, and Dylan was quite surprised by this. It was of the last entries in the last 20 years out of the Swedish entries, which one would you shag?
Oh, I have a clear answer.
Is it Mans?
No, 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 no.
Oh, it's
I
not. Okay.
can't go on.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't go on.
Fair enough.
When you
I did
look.
not expect to have that question in another episode, but fair. We might just make that a recurring question for the next series. Why why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Everyone loves.
I think we
Every,
should. At the end of the day, this is one of the things people really care about.
we're a very horny channel at Eurovoxx, so we have to
No,
display.
we're just alive.
Anyway, going back to Melvin.
Yeah.
have any more on that?
No, he had a great voice, but he would just left me very cold inside. Maybe as a vampire, that was the whole
But yeah,
point.
I think that was the intention, Clara. To be honest, he did his job.
Yeah,
But no,
I just wasn't the segment the song was meant for.
no, fair enough. I mean, you mentioned that it was for teenagers. As someone who was
A teenager.
a teenager then, I'm trying to think. What, 15? God, that's 5 years ago already.
Yes.
That was when that feels too long. Yeah, as a teenager at the time, loved it then. I still love it now. It's it's one of those entries which has like a unique coolness in a sense. It feels very modern. The staging is very theatrical, I will give you that, but I'm one for the theatrics at Eurovision and in music. I enjoy that side of things, and I think it actually helped with his staging, especially in a year that didn't have any LEDs and people had to think outside the box. His over the topness probably got him a few more points, especially in the televote, because in the last few years, while this, again, similar to 2012, this is actually the opposite. Excuse me. It didn't do very well with the jury at all. I think it came last place, actually, with the jury. But this is a rare occasion where the first of song of the night actually did very well with the televote. It came like 7th, which is very rare for a show opener to do such good numbers. And Melvin as well seems like a lovely guy. He thoroughly enjoys Eurovision. I enjoyed seeing Under the Ladder live actually for LEP. He was one of the guests there this year and was very fun. He also did another song that will come up later in the show. I'm sure of it. Well, I am sure of it because I got the list here. But
Oh,
that's neither.
I know the song you mean, actually.
Yes. He did his own unique lyrics, as many people have done since a certain event in 2022, which are very good. But it's neither here nor there. A very good song. I thoroughly enjoy this. My second favorite Ukrainian entry of all time, and 9th in the Eurovoxx rankings. So now we come on to 8th place, and this song also actually had 14 points. However, this had a couple of first places which put it a bit higher than Melvin. In 8th place on 14 points, it is 2010 Sweet People.
It's the message is so real. Some sort know the answer's still because.
So that was Alyosha with Sweet People, Ukraine's entry in 2010, again on 14 points. Only 4 people actually voted for this one, but 2 of them gave it their first place. And that was Jess and Shaughnessy gave this their full set of points. So over half their points, over 3/4, over actually 2/3 of their points came from those 2 alone, and put them pretty much single-handedly in the top 10 of our ranking. Speaking of 10, this song actually finished in 10th place back in 2010. A lot of 10. I mentioned 10 a lot here. I'm not doing it on purpose. There's just some link. There's some mystical nature of this.
Of course,
So,
the 10th was my birthday, 10th of June.
10th of June. 4 days passed after that from the best day of the year, of course. Which it's my birthday then. That's why. That's why. That one's not good. That one's not bad. I love how because your birthday is only 4 days after me. I get to be the birthday person in Eurovoxx for probably the shortest amount of time out of anyone.
I'm so sorry. No, actually, Tommy and Stuart share birthday.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I remember it was like joint birthday
Yeah.
celebrations that day. It was like we had to come up with 2 different joke. I had to come up with like 2 different joke birthday celebrations. It was like one linking to Ireland and one linking to Canada. It's a very easy link there. I'm sure many will do it. Anyway, back to Sweet People. We've diverted a lot here, but who cares? Back to Sweet People. Again, maybe more than Melvin and Gaetana. This is one that is regarded a little bit higher than those. I'd say it got a top 10 finish. But Clara, are you surprised to see it this high in our ranking in the top half?
Not really. Maybe less surprised than some other songs, because this is a song and a name that when people talk about Ukraine, they normally bring up. And I like it because she was like, the whole staging was bare. It was just her and her expression. And there was like a rockiness to the song. There was like distortion guitars in the background. And she had a very powerful presence. The thing is, it was in 2010, and for me, that year, those years, they get lost a little bit in my memory. So they don't stand. They're not as fresh as when I started watching Eurovision. That I have this mystique still about Eurovision, and then there is not so recent that I can think, oh, what was last year?
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sort of in a similar vein. Obviously, I wasn't watching back in 2010, but retrospectively, I like this entry. I think it's got good quality. Again, I like the rock style, like the rock elements of it. That being said, I think the reason I don't love it is it doesn't flow as much as I'd like it to. There's a bit too much. Yeah, there's not much contrast. I think in segments, this doesn't. It feels very stop start. But I like the message. I like a deep, meaningful message in a song, and this certainly has that. And I like the mood on stage. This definitely does have wind machine vibes,
Yeah.
very typical of Eurovision. Going full Corolla, I love it.
Mhm.
And it did have its own merit. Alyosha, very, very good performer. She sang this very well. Thoroughly enjoyed her performance in the interval act in 2023 in Liverpool. Very good performance with Rebecca Ferguson, and I can see why people enjoy this. Shaughnessy actually, when she messaged me her top 5, saying this is very underrated. I thoroughly enjoy this. I'm not trying to do an Australian accent before anyone tries. Even though I'm half Australian, I can't do the accent very well. But I can see its merit, and this definitely I can understand why it has fans and why it's 8th in our ranking. And now on to number 7. And weirdly, this early on, we are coming to one of 3 winners for Ukraine. We didn't get into the top 5 for Sweden, so we're going to one early on. With 20 points in 7th place, we have 2022 with Stefania.
7.
So that was Kalush Orchestra with Stefania, Ukraine's entry in 2022 last year, receiving 20 points. 7 people voted for this one, with 1 first place coming from Eurovision's Louise, gave this her top level nominations. Obviously, this received first place in the final. And actually, I will say this is another one where I gave this points. I gave this uno points. This was my 5th place in my ranking. So you know a little bit, obviously, fans, about how I feel about this song, considering it's in my top 5. Clara, this was the first Eurovision, actually, we were both at the event. We
Mhm.
were covered this entry quite a bit going into the contest. And I would argue both of us have countries which are slightly annoyed for different reasons. This one over maybe second and third, for example. Yeah, well, again, Sam
Mm.
Ryder, king of Eurovision. But how were your thoughts on Stefania?
I actually liked it, and I do think it's a deserved winner because, yeah, obviously the sentiment of the whole Europe was there, but it's overall a really good song, and it's very modern, and it does fuse 2 very different musical sounds together, the more traditional Ukrainian sounds with a very modern beat, and I think it's done very beautifully. It's very professionally, and it sounds really good. I like it very much. It's not in my top 5 purely because I've realized, what looking at my tops, that there needs to be a certain distance within the years for me to develop a fondness.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Makes sense. I think this is my second favorite winner from Ukraine. I thoroughly enjoy the ethnic nature of it, but yet
Mm.
how cool it still sounds. I love the instrumentation, the simple yet effective staging. This didn't have much for staging, but it was still very powerful. And yes, we are aware this got a record breaking televote for reasons that are not purely based on the song. I think a lot of times, especially being a Brit, where I have to explain why we didn't win because of this Ukraine entry that got so much televote support. I always say that this is an entry that would have always been a contender regardless,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't have got 400 plus televotes
Yeah,
without the current
absolutely.
situation. But that being said, it was still a great moment. I remember being
Mhm.
in the arena when it won, and it was a very powerful when it won. No one was like bitter about the result because of the televote, but everyone was just joyous for Ukraine. And a lot of people in the UK, especially like I remember Ryland and Scott Mills were saying, it was the perfect outcome.
Hmm.
Us finishing second and Ukraine winning. It was a moment I think Europe needed, and they did it with a great song. It's a fantastic entry that deserves a lot of credit. And yeah, our 7th place in the Vox rankings. And now we come on to 6th place, the last one before we take a small break to do a lot of people's favourite part of the show. By a lot of people, I mean me. In 6th place with 25 points, actually tied with 5th place, but tiebreakers mean this finishes in 6th. In 6th place is 2013 Gravity.
6.
Like a butterfly, spinning around the sun as if today I should have stayed at home.
So that was Zlata Ognjevich with Gravity, Ukraine's entry back in 2013, receiving 25 points. 10 people gave this vote. No top level nominations, but this was my 4th place. I gave this 2 points. And this came in 3rd place back in MALMÖ last time. We're not looking to the future. MALMÖ 2013. This got points in. And yeah, 3rd place for Ukraine. I would say I'm quite happy to see this quite high up in 6th place in our ranking. What are your thoughts on Gravity, Clara?
I actually don't like this song. Sorry, there's no other way to put it. I've never been like I've
I
never
love the
understood.
pause. I love the pause. You trying to be nice, and they're like, "No, I don't like this." I can't think of a way to say it.
I could, but I've had such a long day, and like my
Oh,
mind is full
I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't
of
worry.
so many other things, like of my life, of my everyday life, that right now I can't muster a way of going around it in a nice way. But I've always found it very corny, and this princess or fairy tale scene, that staging they had going on, it just didn't resonate with me, because I also didn't like her being carried on stage. Like, she was so fragile and small. I've never resonated with this kind of feminine energy. I'm always been more of like a, or like the females on stage that I've resonated were more like of a powerful nature.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I just didn't like it. It didn't strike the right chord with me.
Right, fair enough. In a more positive note, let's talk about my thoughts on Gravity, shall we? For the people that enjoy enjoy this, I love this. I think it's pure quality in terms of like Zlata's vocals, absolutely incredible during the performance. Yes, it could. Yes, I will agree. I'm not fond on the Viking carrying her on stage. I do think that's a bit it's a bit needless, but I love everything else about the performance. Everything else is great because I do enjoy the like the Disney like fantasy nature of the performance as well. It's very anthemic, theatrical qualities I enjoy, and she performs this incredibly well. She makes the stage feel a lot bigger than it is in MALMÖ, which is quite a small stage. And yeah, not a lot to say apart from I just think it's really good. I think this is up there with one that people talk about for Ukraine being like an all-time good entry that didn't necessarily win, and I can see why. It's got immense quality, and this was during the time where Ukraine were really hitting their peak. I would say between this, I mean, they've never really left their peak, have they? They've sort of they've always been in there since like 2010. But this is certainly an aspect of it, and a deserving bronze medal, I would say, in 2013, and 6th place here in our ranking. And now it's time for
Okay, we gotta go.
30 seconds. And now we come to OK Gotta Go 30 Seconds, as always, inspired by our golden boy from 2005. 2015. Now, you might be asking yourselves, audience, hasn't Clara been on the show before? Yes, she has. But Yana was far too nice with her game that she did, naming random countries' entries from like 5 seconds. No. We can't have people being nice on the games, okay? That is just not how the show works. We forgot to give Yana that memo. We really did. So Clara, you've got to actually have a go at the proper game now. So, if you are new to the show, or for our guest, I have a list of 43 countries who have all recently taken part in Eurovision, and I have put them and I've numbered them randomly. Clara, you will have to pick a number between 1 and 43, and then have 30 seconds to name as many of that country's entries in reverse chronological order. You can either give me the song title, or you can sing a famous part of the song if you're unsure or has a fairly niche name. You get 2 lifelines. The first one is country restart. If you are ever stuck on a country, you can immediately say another number, and then we will go from there. The other one is year check. Actually, no one's used this one, but there's always, never know. So you might use it now. If you're ever stuck on what year you are on, just ask me and I will tell you. You can only use these lifelines once. If you run out of entries, I doubt this will happen, but I've got to say it for the caveat anyway. If you run out of entries, you can immediately pick another number, slash country, and keep going. This does not count as your country restart. The only way this is going to happen is if you get Australia and you can go through them. The more I do the show, the least likely that seems to happen, but you never know. And the only other thing people need to know is 2020 entries do count. Clara, how are your thoughts going into the game?
Can I just say that this is the worst day for me to play this game, because I just bought an apartment this morning and I've been all day dealing with paperwork and my mind is still stuck on that. So I'm gonna try as hard as I can to like detach from that aspect of my everyday life and focus on this. But it's like my head is going like walls. Sofa that I need to buy. Did I pay the right tax? So basically, today is not the best day for me to play this, but let's go and make everyone laugh.
Getting the excuses out nice and early. Let's just hope that someone has let's hope one of the countries has an entry called like sofa or a chair. That might help you. Let's go to the leaderboard then and see what you're up against. So we have had 15 people take part in this game. I'll be honest, the scores aren't great. In joint last place with 1 point and have used a lifeline, it is Louise from Eurovision, Nick, and Sarah. In joint 9th place, all with 1 point but didn't use a lifeline, it is Dylan, Jess, Sanya, and Shaughnessy. Then we get to people that can make it past 1 year. In 8th place with 2 points, it is Yana. Tied for 6th on 3, it's Dom and Twan. Tied for 4th on 4, it is Connor from Eurovision and Dorota. In 3rd place with 5, it's Roy from ESC United. In 2nd place with 6, it's Polly. And in 1st place with a whopping 11, it is Stuart.
Cool.
So,
wow.
No pressure, Clara, but you are the 16th person to take part in this game. Currently, 7 people have scored 1 point in this game. For the respect of Eurovoxx being a Eurovision media site and the reputation we have with that, if you only score 1 point here, that's officially 50% of people that have played this game and only scored 1 point. So I know that's not your fault, but no pressure. Yeah. You might want to score more than 1, just for the sanity of me having to do this game, and for just the reputation of Eurovoxx as a whole.
Can I skip like a year, or do they have to be like okay?
Exact chronological order. That would have been a good lifeline, actually. Skipping a year. Yeah, I'll think about that for next time. But your time will start when you hear your country, and your time will end when you hear.
Okay, hit the end.
Okay.
Definitely not a nod to what's to come later in this. So, Clara, can you pick a number between 1 and 43?
17.
17. Okay, let's see what you are going to be up against here. So, 17, I have your list of entries here. Clara, you will have 30 seconds to name as many entries from Montenegro. Go.
God, I was just thinking Montenegro. The people in white, they were a band. They were this
No. I'll say no, you're missing one. You're missing one. Do
Ah,
you want to do a different number?
yes, 24.
24. Czech Republic or Czechia. Go.
My sister's crown. My sister's
Okay, happy
crown.
end.
One! I did one!
Oh, thank God you got one. I was worried for a second there.
The thing is, I would have been quite good at the Czech Republic, Czechia.
Sometimes it is luck of the draw, I must say.
Yeah.
The entry you were looking for, you were actually skipping one from Montenegro. It was Breathe from 2022
Oh,
was the last
see?
one. You were going all the way to 2019. It would have been useful if you had that lifeline you were trying to
Yeah, of
implement into
course.
the game. So that's 1 point for Clara. And because
Well, thanks God, I have a lot of people that also scored 1 point. I feel much
Well,
better.
Well, not only that, Clara, but because you used a lifeline, you are
I'm
tied
not
with
even okay.
you're in the bottom four. You're in the bottom four with
Well,
1 point.
I'm
You're
from Spain. I'm used to being there.
No Brits in that section, weirdly. I'm surprised. No Germans as well. Jana's in the top half. Yeah, Jana's in the top half. She scored 2 points. She's in the top half from scoring 2 points. That is, for God's sake.
But I'm glad I used the lifeline because I would have never guessed Vladana.
Yeah. We were very close to our first 0 on this show. Very, very close.
Sorry, Germany. You get 0 points.
So that is officially half of the
worst.
No, it's tied for the worst. It is tied for the worst. Tied with Louise from Eurovision, Nick, and Sarah. That is officially half the people that have taken part in this game have scored 1 point. And you know what's worse for Eurovoxx? Two of the people that scored more than 1 are not members of Eurovoxx. They are Roy and Connor. So only 6 people out of 13 people from Eurovoxx, less than half got more than 1. Less than half. Great.
This is your cue to stop listening to Eurovoxx. As you have seen, we know nothing.
You know the most recent year. That's about it.
What we do here is we provide a service to you all to make you closer, to bring you the artist closer. That's the only thing we do here. Clearly,
who needs knowledge unless you are like Stu or Polly, who has knowledge of something. So, yeah, that's another edition of OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds. So now we resume our ranking of Ukrainian entries, and we're on to our top 5. In chronological order, the 5 songs we have left are 2004, 2007, 2008, 2016, and 2021. So, in 5th place, also on 25, like 6th place, but this song, has tiebreaker implications, which means it is in 5th place. In 5th place is actually another winner. It's our second winner of the evening, and it is 1944 from 2016. 5. So that was Jamala's 1944 Ukraine's entry in 2016. 9 people out of 21 gave this points. 2 top-level nominations from Twan and Sarah. Must be popular with Dutch people. I don't know. Must be something in the Dutch air with that one. And first place, obviously, this finished in 2016. Also, this is my 3rd place. I gave this 3 points in my ranking. We're whittling down my entries very quickly here. What's happening with this top lot here? It's very odd. Very odd. So, Clara, this is not one you gave points, but this is obviously a very iconic Ukrainian entry, winning back in Stockholm. The last time she hosted, actually, maybe this is a sign for them. Who knows? Maybe. I suppose MALMÖ's more of a sign, and they finished 3rd. Maybe that's more of a sign, but neither here nor there. What are your thoughts on 1944?
This is a song that I was very fascinated by when it came out, but then it's the song that it's like the typical song that it's been played so much that now I'm a little bit sick of it and I can't listen to it anymore. But I think the message is fantastic. And living in Latvia, it's a message a lot of my friends here can relate, and my neighbors and everyone here can relate.
Yeah,
Especially with we have a border with Russia, so it's always
yeah.
like this. This is like a conversation going on, and I appreciate the artistry, and I love the staging. Visually was very impactful, and hearing her sigh and cry and mourn the way she's doing on stage, it's a great selling point. Or it's not selling point, sounds very cold, but
Yeah,
it's a just like pure raw expression. However, I can't listen to it anymore.
I've had enough of your raw expression, Jamala. Enough of the raw expression. Yeah, makes sense. I would say on my side of it, the main thing, which is why I think this won, not only the message, but I will say to my dying day even that one of my favorite iconic Eurovision shots is that tree at
Yes.
the end coming out of the stage. It's so beautiful. The staging is absolutely incredible. And Jamala's vocals, she's one of the most iconic Eurovision artists, I think, in recent memory. Uh, some not always been the smoothest journey to that status with Jamala. We're not talking about 2019, but still, yeah, an iconic singer, one that is brought to many shows around the world representing Ukraine. I remember seeing her perform in the German national final a couple days or a couple weeks after the situation in Ukraine and Russia started, and it was the first performance she did. It was so touching. It was incredible. Germany did that, I thought. Uh, as for the song itself, I think it's got so many good ethnic elements. So, the pain you really feel, as you said, and you know it's real. Jamala has expressed this so many times. This is a very real emotion she's feeling here, and I mean it's also history. The first time that the non-winner of a televote and the non-winner of the jury won the contest. It was the first time we had that split decision, and Jamala took full advantage of that. Sorry, Australia and Russia's entries that year, I suppose. But yeah, a great winner, and I completely understand the love for this, and it will go on not only while the situation in Ukraine and Russia is going on,
Mm.
but for much longer than that. It's an iconic entry that stands the test of time, I think, and it's our fifth place in the Eurovoxx rankings. So now we come on to fourth place in our rankings, receiving 30 points. This one, and in fourth place is getting cute with the numbers here because it is 2004 Wild Dances.
4. Go wild dances, they don't wanna be loved. They not gonna take my way.
So that was Ruslana with Wild Dances, Ukraine's 2004 entry, only the second time they took part, yet winning it on their second try, receiving 30 points in this one. 9 people voted for this entry, 2 top level nominations, the first one coming from Sanya, and the second one coming from the person I am currently speaking to. Now, Clara, I'm fully aware of how much you love this song, so I'm just going to kick back, relax for a bit, and
And enjoy your flight.
the floor is yours. Take it away with this one.
Oh my god, I'm actually impressed that no winner song is on the top 1 or the top 3 even in
It is a fascinating top 3, I must say.
yeah, definitely. But yes, Ruslana is Ruslana and Wild Dances is my favorite song in the whole Eurovision since I've been watching since 2003. And there was just something so fascinating for me as a 14-year-old, 13-year-old girl that hadn't seen the world, sitting in front of the television looking at that and going, what in the world is going on? The energy was there. She had the power. She had the vocals. She had this, and like, I wanted to be her. I wanted to be this powerful woman with like the super long hair and dressed in so extravagantly. And she was strong, and she yeah, the whole performance really blew my mind, because I didn't know any land that could sound like this or look like this. So it was such an eye opener for me. Like, it really made me want to know what was outside the borders of my country.
Yeah,
The
I
end.
think. Yeah, I think Clara enjoys this one a little bit, but I would say, from my personal perspective, obviously, I was less than one when this was performed at Eurovision, so I did not see this live. It goes without saying that, but obviously, I see this in retrospect, and for me, this is one that, with a bit of tweaking and like modernization, I think, in the
Tweaking?
instrument. No.
What?
Hear me out. Hear me out. Modernization in terms of the instrumental. It feels very ahead of its time. It is what I'm saying now. It feels like it could still put up good numbers in 2023, 2024. It doesn't feel 2004 at all in terms of like the ethnicity and the style it was going for. That's what I meant. I didn't mean tweaking like bad. Obviously, I didn't give this points, and I'm surprised Clara hasn't killed me at this stage of the show. But it's a very fun entry. It very joyous, and personally, this went up in my ranking a lot after Barcelona,
Yeah.
where not only did I get to see Clara interview Ruslana, and the crazy, wonderful woman Ruslana is, that goes
Oh my
without
God.
saying. She's absolutely bonkers, yet lovely. But also seeing her perform at Barcelona Eurovision Party. I've talked about this in a live stream just after Eurovision. It's one of my highlights of 2023 season, just being in the room with Clara and the emotions that were felt that night. Everyone there, like we were with, Tommy was there. We were, what's her name? Melanie, sorry, from
Yeah,
ESP
Melanie was
United
there.
was
Fame was there.
Fame was there. Fame's everywhere.
Fame is
That's
everywhere.
Fame's everywhere. Is there an event there? Fame's there, but everyone was there, and it was such a lovely moment. And you'll kill me for the first part of this saying, because obviously Rosanna was a last minute addition to Barcelona. She was replacing Dami in, and I remember just before the performance, because I love half Aussie as well. I love Sound of Silence. I remember I whispered over to Tommy. I said, not gonna lie, I would have preferred Dami in, because I just prefer that song. And then remember, and then after Ruslana's performance, I remember going to him again and saying, no, never mind, that was fine. I take it back. I take it back.
She just has such an energy performing. It's very contagious.
It's very It would have been nice to see that at Eurovision 2023 in Liverpool, especially an ex-Ukraine winner would have been nice to see. Has she ever performed as an interval act at Eurovision?
Yeah,
apart from 2005. Apart from that,
you know, there was this when Eurovision turned 50. There was a special show, and she was invited to perform.
Okay. And I've just realised she's performing at Het Grot Song Festival as well, isn't she?
She's what?
In the Het Grot Song Festival, the Netherlands show.
Oh, yes. I think so.
Yeah. Yes, so that'll be another chance to see her perform live. That being said, you know what? I'm genuinely glad that recency bias has not plagued this list too much, and an entry from 20 years ago has got into the top 5 of this. Is the best winner, supposedly, of Ukraine, according to Eurovoxx. Yeah, 4th place for Wild Dances. So now we come on to the top 3, and in chronological order, we are left with 2007, 2008, and 2021. Surprisingly, no winners are left, which, considering Ukraine have won 3 times, is impressive. But it shows the strength of their overall entries. Because to be fair, the ones we got left,
Or bad taste.
or bad taste. Well, we'll see. To be fair, you've still got 2 of yours left.
Yeah. I know. I'm joking.
Or bad taste. Yeah, who knows? But to be fair, 2 second places are left and 1 5th place. So it's not like these are bad entries at all. In 3rd place, receiving 32 points in our ranking, it is 2007, Dancing Lascia Tumbai.
3.
So that was the iconic Verka Serdushka with Dancing Lasha Tumbai, Ukraine's entry in 2007, receiving 32 points. 10 people voted for this one. 2 top-level nominations, one from Chris, and the other one is from yours truly. I gave this the full set of 5 points. However, the person next to me did not give this any points, which is... Care to explain why a runner-up from 2007 you are... I'm being incredibly biased here, I know, because I gave this points. Care to explain your thoughts on Dancing Lasha Tumbai?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a song that I learned to appreciate years later. When I first saw it, I was 16 and I didn't like joke entries in Eurovision. I was taking
Are
it.
you telling me that at 16 years old, this wasn't a cool, hip, down with the kids entry?
I
That people-
I was an emo kid. The thing is, I was an emo kid. I was a
Oh,
rocker.
right up your street then.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, what is this? This is clownish. And I had gone on the tangent of what real music was, and then I had very little understanding of what show business was. So, and I had never like, I probably had seen a drag queen, but like never. I don't know. Drag queens were not just as popular as they are now with the kids, with the cool kids, and.
I don't think they're popular with the cool kids now, Clara.
Yeah,
I
like
would
you know,
say.
there's RuPaul, and there's
Yeah, it's more mainstream,
it's
definitely.
more, exactly, it's more mainstream. It wasn't so mainstream, and it just bothered me that there was just like a mock entry, and I guess it was like the time of, or like the mock entries were popular, were starting to get popular. So, me as a like a very strong Eurovision defender of let's not make this a freak show, sort of. But
But you,
then, then I love it. Like now, as a 30-year-old, I love it. I think it's hilarious. I just party so hard to this song, and now I can appreciate it.
it's a banger at Euro Club, isn't it?
Yes,
It's
yes.
amazing. Now, look, people will probably be wondering, especially if they know my taste of like very serious, like often ballads in a sense, and being a straight man, I suppose. Why is this incredibly camp drag queen my favorite Ukrainian entry of all time? And there is a simple answer to that. In my opinion, it is the best dance song Eurovision has ever produced. Because for me, dance songs for me should not be serious. It should be incredibly fun because you don't want to dance to an entry that has like deep undertone meanings and like any sort of meaning in a sense, even if it's like love or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. You don't want like a love story in the back of your mind when you're dancing. Well, you can have it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not as prevalent. This has nothing. This is complete bonkers. It's just, the message in this song is just dance. So
Mm-hmm.
you dance. That is all that's happening here, and it's insane. You Verka is bonkers. She's incredibly funny, and that's what makes it work. Like Verka, if she was in like this outfit or like was performing around, I still love that iconic shot which Karia copied in a sense with her
Mm-hmm.
running round like
Yes.
nine 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 nine. Brilliant performance, and yeah, it's just insane. There's not much to say. I love this. There's actually weirdly speaking about Euro Club. There is actually a clip of me dancing to this available on the internet somewhere, where I do like a little
Ooh.
jig. If anyone in this podcast knows Noosh, a relatively well-known
Oh.
YouTuber, there's annoyingly I did not give her consent to this, so very rude on that. No, I'm kidding. But there's annoyingly a clip of me dancing to this. I believe it's on her story. It's on either her story or on a guy called Oz, one of those two. Uh, it's on one of their Instagram stories of me dancing to this. My non-Eurovision friends have seen that annoyingly for me being tagged on the video. So great, they know my dance moves, but who cares? It's Eurovision.
They're gonna steal
But
your moves now.
I'm gonna see. I doubt it. I doubt it. But yeah, it's incredibly bonkers entry. One that has to be involved in every Euro club. An iconic Ukrainian entry, and
Mm-hmm.
one that I can definitely see why it got the bronze medal in our Eurovision ranking. So now we are down to our top two, and that is 2008 and 2021. I'll be honest, when I set this up, these are not the top two I expected. I did not expect, not for bad reasons, although admittedly I didn't give any of these points, but I still just pleasantly surprised, I would say. I will say now, the top two is not close. There is 30 points separating.
Really?
But yeah, there was a runaway winner in this. like
Ooh.
second place has 36 points. First place has 66 points. Like
Cool.
absolutely insane margin. Without further ado, in second place, receiving 36 points, it is 2008 Shady Lady.
Shady lady, I'm gonna strike like thunder. I am ready. I wanna make you unruly. Steady, I'm gonna make you shiver. My heart is burning.
So that was Annie LOREEN with Shady Lady, Ukraine's entry in 2008, just missing out on the top spot in second place. In second place in here actually, and second place in 2008. Did not mean for that to be a double meaning, but it was. 10 people voted for this entry. 4 first places in this one, and they came from Dom, Fred, Yana, and Daniel all gave this first place. And Clara, actually, you gave this your silver medal, second place
Yes,
in
I
your
did.
ranking. So, why are you a fan of this Shady Lady, Clara?
It's so elegant. It's so classy. It's just this femme fatale that we all want to be. Like gays.
No, hang on.
and-
Femme Fatale was Cyprus' entry that year, but go on. Go on.
That's really true. I don't know. It just spoke about the sensuality that she had, and her vocals were amazing, and the visuals were really awesome. It was very well built. It was very hypnotic. I don't know, Shady Lady. We all want to be shady ladies.
Wait, who doesn't want to be a shady lady?
I know you want to be a shady lady.
I mean, have you listened to me on Eurovoxx? I'm definitely shady. You've heard some of my takes, Clara. But no, I didn't give this one points. And
I don't think you are the target audience for this song.
no, it's not one that's on my playlist. I like but don't love it. That being said, when people often say Ukraine know how to stage like mediocre to good entries and elevate them, this is the example that everyone goes to.
Yeah.
And for complete reason, the staging completely elevates this. I must say, an iconic piece of dancing that I have is like that hip thrust they do. It's like up with the hand, up with the hand. It's like we're gonna raise our hip and the hand, raise the hip and the hand. It's such a bizarre move out of context. It doesn't really make sense with the song, but it's a fun one to do. It's another fun song at Euro Club as well. An iconic song, and I don't think this is an unpopular opinion. Preferred to the winner. I think a lot of people prefer this to Believe with the skateboarding, ice skating dramatic dancer, and the powerful vocals. And it's not very good. Spoiler, it's not a good winner. It's not a good winner at all. But yeah, very fun entry, and I can completely see why this did so well back in 2008. Another one where it might not have come second, but I still think this has its merits in like 2023, especially the staging. The staging has merits whenever it's released, in my opinion. I'm pleasantly surprised this actually came runner-up. I didn't expect it to be this high, but it has a lot of fans, and fair play to it. Second place for Shady Lady. And now we come on to our winner. This entry destroyed the ranking. Like, it won by 30 points. 66 points from, like, an incredible feat for this. It is 2021 Go A Shum. So that was Shum Go A from 2021. Out of 21 people that voted, 18 gave this points. 18 had this in their top 5. 7 first places. They came from Roy from ESC United, Nicoletta, Stuart, Paolo, Dylan, Justin, and Andy gave this his full set of 12 points. 12, actually, not only that, 12 people had this inside their top 2. Over half the voters put this in their top 2. And Clara, yourself, you put this in third place. That being said, weirdly, this is not one of, if we're looking at Ukraine's like top rankings, if we're doing it based on their results, this does not make the top 5. This came in 5th place back in 2021. Gets so much love.
Mm.
And it's actually weird because their other entry from 2020 didn't even crack the top 10 with Solove. So not only is this their juxtaposition with their Goe's songs, but there's this juxtaposition in the ranking and just how much it absolutely destroyed. Like, this was unanimously, no questions asked, our favorite Ukrainian entry. We'll come on to my thoughts. Clara, what are your thoughts on Shum?
I just said this should have won, but no, I'm happy Måneskin won. But this,
She changed her mind very quickly there. She
No,
remembered who
yeah.
won. She remembered who won.
Actually, yes, that's literally what happened. I confused I confused some years. But
Doesn't matter.
I love this song. Like, I was one of the kind of people that when Solovey was discarded and I heard Shum for the first time, I was like, oh man, the other one was better. But then, oh my god, I changed completely my mind, and it was just so crazy. It was so, if not like, it was just so engaging. There was so many things happening on stage, and the whole staging, like the concept on the stage was so well built. And then the rave at the end, it's I don't know. I'm not.
It brings you life, doesn't it? It brings you life.
That's a fantastic way of putting it. It brings you life.
And you need that in Eurovision entries.
Yes.
A lot of energies. They need to bring you life. Now, look, I was one of actually 3 people that did not vote for this. However, it is my 6th place, so I do love this. It just missed out on my ranking. It was very close. I promise. Do not hate me, fellow Voxers, for not putting this in my top 5. That being, weirdly enough, Solovey is probably my least favorite Ukrainian entry of the last 20 years, or it's definitely low. It's definitely down there. I did not connect with that song at all. And I didn't connect with this one initially, but I grew to like really love it. And for me, best staging of 2021, by far for me. I think this was exceptional. And shock, Ukraine know how to stage songs. Who knew? And I'll tell you what, I've got a fun story with this. So I hadn't been to like pre-parties or like just events like Euro clubs before Shum was released and after it. And one of the things I always wanted to do when I first went to one of these events is when Shum plays, I want to go completely bonkers at the rave at the end, because you got to do it. You got to do it. So the first chance I got to do that was LEP. It played during a break or just at the end in 2022. So it was building up. And then literally I start jumping up and down raving. Within like a couple seconds, I accidentally knock someone next to me's over drink. And you know what? It was someone who had their boyfriend with them, and he was fairly tall, like 6'1", about my age. Looked in decent shape. I thought, oh crap, I'm potentially in trouble here. Thankfully, the person that I knocked the drink over, I apologize, obviously. Thankfully, the person actually responded with, "No, you carry on." So they understood the task. They understood the power of Shum.
That's good. That's good.
and either that or they were already drunk by that point and didn't care. But either way, I got off scot-free. That was ever since then when I've raved, I've not knocked over anyone's drinks, which is very good. Although, piece of advice: if you do have a drink at Euro Club, when this does come on, be very careful not to jump too much without the lid. Yeah, absolutely insane. What I find fascinating is it's ethnic, but unlike Solovey, which I think leans too much into the ethnic side and alienates potentially people that don't like white noise, this doesn't do that. This is not overbearing. This has enough elements surrounding the white noise sound where if you like ethnic music, you're going to enjoy this. But also if you're not as massive a fan of it, there's enough elements where has a Western flavor, which people will enjoy. Like, everyone loves a good rave. Everyone loves completely losing it, especially after a few drinks. Everyone loves a good rave. And
it's a little bit what we were talking about, the Kalush Orchestra and Stefania, how they built in the different elements of different genres in such a great mix.
Yeah, they've done that, especially this and Stefania, they do exceptionally well, and that's why both did very well. I think that's why, in a sense, like, because going back, Torchy Heart of Steel came second to last in this, which I was a bit surprised on because of recency bias. I thought might put it a bit higher, but I think part of the reason is people were looking for that style again from Ukraine. I think they had a couple entries like Jerry Hale, sorry, and what's her name? the one that did the beautiful ballads that came second. I think Krut, that's her name. That's her name. Both of those had much more ethnic style to them. And while I respect Ukraine for not necessarily going for that every year, I think overall the fandom appreciate that more.
Mhm.
Even though weirdly,
It's more interesting.
go on. Yeah, it's very interesting. And weirdly, Goe only finished one position higher than Torchy in actual Eurovision. So it's fascinating how the Eurovision fandom can differentiate from the actual fandom. But I tell you what, this is another one where the televote lapped this one up. Like, loved it so much. Came second only behind Måneskin. And when you're coming second behind one of the biggest success stories to come out of Eurovision, that's fair enough. I think you've done all right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, just incredible. And I tell you what, good on one of the people of this band, because they came back the year after with Stefan, with Kalush, and ended up winning.
Igor.
I do remember joking with the people next to me, because obviously both Goe and Kalush were part of that opening flag ceremony for Liverpool. When I think Goe was first, I did sort of joke saying, hang on, so is this one of these guys have to get changed quickly and then head to the stage for the Kalush section as well? It's like, off, run! Not the case, sadly, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, 66 points, like 6/7 of the people put this in their top 5. A resounding win in our ranking for Shum. A lot of noise was made by our fans, pun very intended, for this entry. And yeah, our favorite Ukrainian entry of the last 20 years is Shum. So that will do it for our ranking of Ukrainian entries. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Clara, thank you for coming back onto the show. You have been a very lovely guest to speak to, very fun guest to also reminisce about some of our times together at
Yeah.
Eurovision with some of these, which was very fun. So make sure to follow us on all social medias, Instagram, Twitter. One day I will know all these social medias off by heart and not guess which ones we're on. TikTok. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and of course the very biased me will say this, but make sure you follow Spotify and leave a rating for this as well. It does help grow this podcast, and join us next time, whether it be for another one of these rankings or for more 2024 news, we'll wait and see, but we're going to be back and doing much more for the 2024 season. All that's left to say is hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.